Hi, I'm in my mother's kitchen. We're having a wonderful time in Israel. It is incredible for us to be able to be back here after 2.5 years absence, to be able to visit with my mother in person. And we look forward to coming home soon and to seeing you soon. Permit me to share with you very briefly an idea that I shared with my family on Shabbos here in Jerusalem. And it's based on the special Torah reading that we had this past Shabbos, Parsha Shkolim, which is the first fundraising campaign in Jewish history, where every single Jewish person gave a half-shekel coin, and that was used to create the base on which the Mishkan, the sanctuary built in the desert, was standing. And our rabbis tell us something very curious. Our rabbis tell us that Moshe said to God, I'm worried that after I die, no one will remember me. And God said to Moshe, Moshe, don't worry, because every year when the Jewish people read the Parsha of Shkolim, which we read this past Shabbos, you will be remembered. It's a very strange passage. First of all, how could Moshe think that he would not be remembered after his death with all that he accomplished in his life? But secondly, why is it that this portion, out of all of the passages in the Torah, should be the one that God uses to reassure Moshe that in fact he will be remembered every year? So I want to suggest the following. The Parsha begins with the following words: Ki sisas rosh b'nei Yisrael livkodosam. God says to Moshe, when you want to take a census of the Jewish people and to gather these coins for the purpose of building the Mishkan, this is how you should do it. Now that's what the verse means, but the actual words of the pasuk must be translated differently. Ki sisa es rosh b'nei Yisrael livkodosam. Moshe, when you go to lift the heads of the people, this is how you should do it. It's strange that this phrase, lift the heads of the people, should be the phrase that's used to mean when you go to count them. The Ramban, Nachmanides, gives the following explanation. Of all the different methods that God could have commanded Moshe to use to count the Jewish people, the one that he chose is quite specific, and that is that every single person would line up and pass before Moshe and give their coin. And at the end, the coins would be counted. The Ramban says the reason for this specific method of counting is so that there would be a moment when every single Jew came face to face with Moshe, looked into his eyes, and Moshe looked into the eyes of that person. There was a moment of direct personal contact with the greatest leader of that time and of all times in Jewish history. The purpose, says the Ramban, was for every single individual to be seen by Moshe. After all, there must have been several million people there. How many could have had a personal relationship with Moshe Rabbeinu? And yet here was an opportunity where, for a moment, Moshe would look into the eyes, into the heart of that person. And that person would know they were seen, and they were heard, and they were recognized, and they were valued by Moshe. So in effect, the method of counting was a way of raising the spirit, raising the head of every single person that passed in front of him, making them feel better, stronger, encouraged, and supported. And that's what Moshe is remembered for. Of all the amazing things that Moshe did, receiving the Torah, teaching the Torah, leading the people. What Moshe is remembered for, God says to him, is the way that he gave dignity to every single individual as he was receiving their coins. This is a lesson for every single one of us in our daily lives, and especially for all of us engaged in the work of supporting ADATH. To help another person sometimes requires expending funds. Sometimes it requires a lot of time. Sometimes it requires energy. Sometimes it requires sacrifice. But very often, the most important thing we can give someone costs us nothing. Simply to pay attention, to give our attention generously, to make them feel that they are worthy and important and heard and seen and supported. As we ask others to support ADATH for the good of our community and all of us, we need to remember that the most important thing we are doing should be to give dignity and honor and respect to every single individual we encounter. My friends, I wish you a very productive meeting, and I look forward to seeing all of you soon in person.